God is responsible for the death of Jesus. In the same way that the Father is responsible for the suffering of Job. In the same way that God is responsible for the terrible ordeal that befell Joseph. In the same way that God is responsible for the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. In the same way that God is responsible for every bad thing that has ever befallen you. And we have got to appreciate that idea from a high vantage point, because that's where God resides, on a very high vantage point. We get into trouble and we struggle to grasp that idea when we bring God down to our level. We try to bring him down to our perspective, where we are limited by bad memories, present time where we can't see everything around us, and a future that is uncertain, none of which is true of God. And we don't appreciate that God is sovereign over all. Have you ever heard the atheist attack, which says if God is all good, he cannot be all powerful. And if God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. Because in other words, it's the problem of evil and suffering. Here's bad in this world. If God is all powerful and he doesn't do something about it, then that means he's not good. And if God wants to do something but he can't, that means he's not all powerful. And I've defeated God. No, God is not you with your bad back and your limited foresight. God is not you. God is supreme and sovereign. And God gave people free will. If that alone gives him responsibility over every bad thing that happens, because he gave you the free will to do bad to somebody else. But don't bring God down to your level. God is the one and only being in everything, where you say the rules don't apply to him. God doesn't come down and follow your standard of what is good. He's not adherent to your standard of morality. God is the definer of those things. And you have situations separate from that, like what happens to Job. And we look and we say, God tells the devil, you incited me against Job. Well, that's literally what happens in chapter 1. The devil challenged God's godliness. Job's only getting good things because you're so good to him. And you don't let bad things happen to him. Well, that is a challenge to God and the way he handles his people. So God says, all right, well then do bad things to him. In that sense, Satan incited God to give Satan permission. Everything that happens, God gives permission. Otherwise, he's not God. Jesus died, and God let it happen. Many people did evil for Jesus to end up on that cross. And they are responsible and will be judged for their evil by the same judge who allowed them to do the evil in the first place. And if that seems contradictory moral-wise to you, it's because you're not God, and neither am I. And our ability to grasp the morality of the sovereign creator of the universe is limited. And his is not, because he is him.